Welcome everybody to a new episode of Game Development. Last time some nerd challenged me to make a parkour game, but they're a fool! You can't challenge me and get away with it. My career is built off of being petty. And so I set out on a journey to make a parkour game. And now it's time to finish the game and release it so you scrum can play it. So to begin, I scrapped the multiplayer because sadly, I'm only one person and can't survive on caffeine and YouTube confetti. Yet. I also made so the bullets don't interact with the player because, yeah, that causes a few issues. And I don't really want to make the player play a flight simulator or something. That'd be really stupid and boring as hell. Excuse me. Does that say 57,000? I decided to give the player some speed lines because I think they look cool as hell and they make you feel fast as fuck. I did this using a VFX graph. For the scrum who don't know what a VFX graph is, it's short for visual effect. Why is it not VE? I don't know. I'm not that smart. Now the guns we made last time, they look kinda shit. And when I say kinda, I mean really shit. So I said fuck it and made a few new guns and damn, these guns look insane now. I also made this railgun since it's been in my mind for quite some time now, and as much as I love this model, I can't add it to my game yet because baking the textures would take a million years, and I need to get this video out by the end of the month. But anyways, I chucked the new gun models into Unity, updated its animations and gave it a sway, and the animations are still spinny reloads because spinny reloads, like I said last time,
because spinny reloads are kinda sick.
And I bet y'all are curious about how the sway actually works. The sway will check where the parent object is. Then when the camera moves, the object being swayed will lurk towards the new position. This, in turn, makes the game feel much more alive. Gives the game that sweet, succulent juice. Then I made a weapon switch system which uses lists and shit. Hell yeah. Now you're probably wondering, but Bamira, what are you gonna shoot if there's no bad guys? Which you know is actually a really fair point, not gonna lie. So I went into Blender and modeled my very first enemy. I also learned inverse kinematics. What's inverse kinematics, you may be asking? It's kinematics but inverse. I know, insane, crazy. And then I scrapped it immediately because I have no idea how to use inverse kinematics. So I made a person model instead and rigged it with basic bones. 20 likes and I'll make my own Blender tutorial. Later on I do want to use the spider robot I made, but until then, this is a pretty good substitute I think. Funny enough though, I didn't end up actually using this model for now. I instead started using a bean. Now you're probably wondering, why is it a bean when you already have a model? And that's because the animation looks weird, and the movement looks weird, and it all looks weird, so I said fuck it. Bean. Then I gave the bean a gun, because here in America, even beans have the Second Amendment. Now usually when you get shot, it hurts. I don't know that for a fact, but I would definitely imagine that it does hurt. So I gave the player some health and then made it so when you lose all your HP, you just freeze in time. Because my health system is weird and I don't want to really deal with it right now. The goal is to have something like Ghost Runner where when I die, an overlay will appear and it'll have some cool effects and shit. Intrusion alert! Are you liking the video? Because if so, I suggest slapping the like button, maybe even hitting the sub button, because it's insanely helpful for pushing this video out to more people. I also post cool stuff on Instagram, Twitter, and stream occasionally on Twitch for some silly times. Are we gonna get the scene? Cutscene, guys. Cutscene time. Oh, man. Among Us. And there's a Patreon. If you want there, you can go and support me and my game. But there's more. I also have a Discord where I'll be making game teasers, video sneak peeks, and a few more things, like all the stuff listed on the screen. And now, time to talk about making maps. Now that we have most of the basic shit done, it's time to start making maps. Now making maps is hard, and I despise level design. But I powered through it and made a tutorial level, which will teach you about wall running and grappling. My plan for the next 4 or so levels is to get the player warmed up to some base mechanics like wall running, sliding, guns, etc, etc. But since levels are really hard to make, I asked a friend to make some map layouts for me so I can do it later. Now I bet those lights are pretty intriguing. How'd I do it? Well, I just baked some lights. That isn't a joke. Light mapping, or baking lights, is something a lot of games do. Now light mapping is a data structure in the form of surface catching. These are really advanced words. Hold on! Now as you see, there's multiple lights right now. Now with no light mapping, there's lights in weird places and ends in weird places and shadows look weird. It all looks bad. But light mapping allows it so that it feels more realistic and pretty. Now the shadows work, the lighting isn't cut off, makes the game look a lot more professional with just the click of a button. Now while my friend was making maps, I began to work on some little add-ons. Stuff that'll really spice up the game. Give that game that sweet, sweet juice. To start, I added a timer since the game's main objective is to get to the end as fast as possible. Here's the code for it if any of you Scrum want to steal it. In simple terms, it starts by calling the time manager script as an instance. Then this starts this timer. Then the stopwatch will update every frame using math to calculate the current time, hence leading to fast numbers. I then began working on a really cool feature that I'm basing off of Ghost Runner, but more on that later. I started to add a bit more to the HP system as well. I made a fix to the more HP you lose, the more cracks on the screen you get, because it looks cool, I think. I also added a regen function, that way you still have a chance against all the enemies and you won't be overwhelmed. I also put some props down, because they look kinda cool, and makes up for some emptiness. Some of these props are vents, boxes, flowy things, because yes. I also made a crosshair, but when you reload, a circle also fills up with the reload. I got this idea from Danny. I thought it was really creative and it makes the screen a lot less cluttery for the player. Now for the thing I was talking about earlier, body augmentations. The goals at each level are so the player can get a power-up to make their life a little bit easier. I'm planning on there being 4 different main slots. There will be speed, health, detection, and defense. I'll also be adding subclasses, like speed will have a jump subclass and an augmentation that'll allow you to dash. This may change into a roguelike instead, where you can choose between 2 different random upgrades or money to upgrade stuff, but the idea is still relatively basic, so I'm not too sure. I can't spoil all the augmentations I want to make, but accuracy will turn the swing grappling hook into a pull grappling hook, turning into a weapon but hinders movement a little bit. Health will have a subclass with regen to make the regen much faster, and detect will have a subclass called radar, which detects hidden rooms for secrets and lore. I also worked on some audio themes for some scene transitions and ways to make audio seamlessly transition from one scene to another. Finally, and sadly, went back into making maps. I'll start explaining how my map making process works, because no, it's not easy, it's a fucking pain. First, I'll draw out the map or get a friend to give me a map design. Second, I'll start building the husk of the level with Pro Builder. Third, I'll add the wall running, swinging, and movement stuff, occasionally enemies as well depending on what map I'm making. Fourth, I'll test the level and make sure it's playable. Fifth, I'll add decorations and lights. Sixth, the stuff on the floor that kills you. I don't know if it's lava yet, we're gonna figure that out later. 7th, bake the lights. 8th, make sure everything's in a good place and the lights look good. 9th, and this one's optional, but rebake the lights if need be, so the level looks great. I also made the exit door, which will send you back to the main menu when you walk into it. The second and final part of this video is to make the menus. Now the menus are a relatively easy process. Let's use the level selector as a reference. To go to the level select menu, I click the level select button. Then that button would deactivate the main menu canvas and would activate the level select canvas. Vice versa if I'd want to go back to the main menu. This works for every other button you see here. As for settings, that goes along with the project settings, but since we have Bracky's old videos, I was able to make some nice functioning settings. As you can see, there's also other options, but those will be later in development. Now if you remember last time, me and my friend were making a song for this game, and it took us a little bit, but we finally finished it. And to showcase the song, why don't I also showcase the level with it? Now the music that's playing right now won't be in the game yet. There's still some stuff we gotta do, so until then, I'm gonna use this other song, which I used previously, and I think this song still fits. Now I've been having a lot of fun with this game, and I want to put a lot more work into it. The song is on my friend's YouTube page, which I'll have a link to in the description. Me and a friend have also begun working on achievements and ideas, like pressing a button that tells you not to. The game is sort of out now as we speak. I'll be uploading levels and mini updates as much as I can, and I'm working on a map editor as we speak. But that will be in the next step log. If you like the video, remember to like and sub, because then we can push this video out to everybody, and this game will become popular as hell. I also link the itch in the description so you can play the game, as well as the speedrun page, so we can see who gets the fastest time and who doesn't have a life. Remember to go check out my Patreon if you want to go support me and the game. I'm putting shirts there relatively soon. I tried to make the game work for Mac and Linux, and I don't have either Mac or Linux, so let me know in the comments if it works or not. Keep in mind, this game is still early release, everything's still a bit janky and weird, and there's a lot of bugs I'm trying to pick out. Also shout out to WOAH and WOAH and a few other people for testing my game and giving me great ideas. Very cool, Scrum. With all that said, that's going to be it for this devlog. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Remember to stay quirky.